Hello and welcome to Willow Talk. Once again, Adam Peacock alongside Alyssa Healy.
Hi.
Yes, how are you? Straight off you got shocked I introduced you first there.
I was a little bit. I was waiting for Hads to get.
No.
I was waiting for
Wait
Mountain
him.
Dew.
I got something for him over there.
Oh, okay.
No. How was training? Straight
Yeah.
from training?
It's getting harder. I won't lie. But I'm gonna try and keep up with Hads still, who's still trains harder than me.
No.
Yeah.
No. Did you pull the senior card yet? Just go talk to the coach about selections.
I haven't as yet, but I am like the senior one in the group's really young at New South Wales, so it's they make me work harder, so it is a good thing, I suppose.
It is good.
Apparently. And Brad Haddin's here, fresh off a night out at Seinfeld
Yeah.
earlier this week.
Yes.
How was that?
It was entertaining
Yeah.
for a number of reasons. Seinfeld was outstanding. The way he described marriage and the role we play.
Mm.
I can see why we're second fiddle on this show as
Yep.
well. Heels, you do run this show. Zach, you need to listen to Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Noted.
And I had a bit of an interruption too. There was a
Yeah, I saw
protest.
that. Yep.
He was sharp as just nailed him.
Yeah.
And as he left, he goes, "Well, enjoy getting punched in the face for 10 minutes." So he was very, very entertaining. And Sam just rolled his eyes at me, the producer.
Did he have a take on whether or not Australia should have rolled over against Scotland?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
He did. He thought we tried. They didn't play catch.
We'll get to that in a moment. We're going to actually have on this episode a deep dive into the T20 World Cup and the Super 8s, where the tournament really, really starts right now. We're down to 8. We're going to get Hads and Heels to pick their team of the tournament so far, which is always fun, especially when they forget about someone as well. We've got a new segment called Play It or Leave It.
Well, we're both going to play it
I've never left anything in my life.
We'll see.
on purpose.
We'll see. We shall see. And we've got sundries as well. And review another moment of madness from club cricket that someone sent in or we've had a look at online. So we'll get you to have a look at that and put it out there. Now, if you've got a weird or wild or wacky moment from club cricket or village cricket, wherever you are around the world, send it in and we'll get the team to analyse it as well. DM us on Instagram or TikTok and we'll get on it for sure and certain. And before we get into it, thank you if you've already rated and reviewed us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're up to 448 ratings on Spotify, 134 on Apple. So the target is, by the end of the T20 World Cup, 475 on Spotify. That's 27 more.
Yep.
Quick math.
Nice.
And 150 on Apple, which is only 16 more. That was easier to work out.
So we'd like to thank family and friends for that. So if everyone else can get involved, that would be great.
It's great that you're a country boy, Hads, and got a big family. That's
Exactly
really
right.
helped us out. Let's get into our review and preview. I should not review. We reviewed the Australia-Scotland game, but you weren't on that pod, Hads. Should we have rolled over?
I think the Aussies had as much interest in that game as I did. They got the result that they needed. We've won 4 in a row. We gave a few guys a rest, which I think is important. Majority of our squad's played now. And I like that we gave the English a bit of a scare. We're always going to win the game. But, yeah, now the tournament starts.
Was Josh Hazelwood really kind of taking the PI55 there?
Oh,
Or was he?
100%.
Was he? You know
Yeah,
Josh well?
You know Josh's dry sense of humour. The interesting thing about Josh's comments is that Monty took the bait. Like, why would you be worried about what Josh Hazelwood said? You lost a couple of matches. I wouldn't have been worrying about what Australia were thinking or anyone else. His job, and he's done it well. He's got his team to qualify for the next stage. But why are you biting?
But what I don't get is it's actually a compliment at the end of the day because he said it's in everyone's best interest if England don't make the Super 8s. So you could look at it both ways and go, well, actually, we're a good side and people are worried about us. Or you could take the bait and be like, oh, we don't deserve to be there. But it's a compliment.
I think, you know how you have your media days, they pick certain players when there's, yes, you get your senior players. They've picked Hazelwood then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was never going to tiptoe around anything.
He's never going to
purpose.
tiptoe, straight-faced, and he would have walked off. He would have winked at the media manager and said, good luck for the next 3 days. There's your story. And he knew he was rested, so he had 3 days off. But, yeah, I like it.
So England had the life frightened out of them in the group stage, but they got through. But Australia sailed through in the end. Look at it, 4 from 4. What impressed you the most, Heels, of that group stage?
Just I probably harp on about it a lot, but the adaptability of the squad and the ability for us to play all I think 13 players have played throughout the tournament so far and play all of those guys on different conditions and still manage to get the jobs done against different oppositions that we had never even seen before. Pressed me the most. Sometimes you got to lose one in a World Cup, though. I'm a firm believer in that. So dropping one to Scotland wouldn't have been such a bad thing. But no, I just think they all just look like they're gelling really well and heading in the right direction, which is cool.
Yeah.
I think Australia were predictable. They got a. Did you just tell her to fix her hair?
It was a bit. It's from training, and it just.
Oh my gosh! What are we? What, Sam?
Hey,
what is this?
It was
Please don't edit any of this out.
On one side, it was crazy Catwoman hair, so I was just like telling her to. Like that, my girls always say, "Oh, why didn't you tell me about my hair?" I said, I'm just looking after your girls.
I was going for the extra ratings. Someone would have said something.
What was the question?
I don't know. What
What's
impressed you most?
impressed you?
I thought tournament play, we're the best in the world at it, and Australia peaking at the right time. We gave a few of our big boys a rest when they needed to after IPL. Seen a bit on social media where they've been on boats, they've been having a good time, playing a bit of golf, but now the tournament starts. Everyone's fresh. They all got an opportunity to play. Would have been good if we had a loss to Scotland, but but I think we're peaking and ready to go. We've got a tough draw too.
Where's the headroom in terms of improvement the most? In what facet would you say?
Well, just judging on the other night, the fielding, I suppose, is probably. I think traditionally in World Cups, that's where Australia have won tournaments by outfielding oppositions. So I think that one's going to be key.
Well, it did come back. There are rumours that if some of those catches were actually pina coladas, they wouldn't have been dropped. So, yeah, anyway.
I think rum punch.
Rum punch, pina colada, whatever. Yeah.
Well, I think that's an area to address, obviously, but everything else has been pretty smooth sailing. There's nothing that really stands out to me that goes, oh, something's been a real issue. I think we've done pretty well.
Yeah, well, and that'll be an attitude thing. Once the tournament starts now, we've seen it in the 50-over World Cup. When the tournament really got on the line, Australia's last two matches in the 50-over, their fielding was outstanding. So I'd expect that there. That was an interesting game. Australia had nothing really to play for. They gave a few guys a go, and their probably attitude wasn't quite in the game, but they've earned the right for that. They've qualified top. However, the qualification
Top but
works.
seeded second.
They've won 4 from 4. So
you like that, Hats? The way that they've done that?
Oh, not really. If you win 4 from 4, you expect to be top of the group.
There's no reward. That's the issue with it. But
anyway, is what it is. Is what it is. What about in terms of an individual or a couple of individuals? Would you say that the Super 8s and the knockout stage will be defined by bat or ball, given that ball looks to have dominated so heavily so far with some of the scores and not one batter in the entire tournament getting to triple figures as we sit here right now?
Well, I think it's going to be a bit of batsmanship. I think we're going to get some interesting wickets where power might not be the sole way to victory. You might have to craft out an innings, get to 140, and that might be enough. But I think the big factor is going to be the attitude in the field. If you hold your catches on a surface like we've seen in the West Indies, it's hard to start. So I expect Australia to lift there, and that'll be their point of difference by the end.
I reckon the power play is going to be key. So I'm going to go with both. But I think if you win the power play, you'll win the game. And that's if you take wickets up front early and then squeeze when the five players go out. Yep. Or like vice versa, if you get off to an absolute flyer and you've got two batters set leading into those middle overs, I reckon more often than not you're going to win the game. And I think that's where England become really dangerous because their power plays are very, very good. So, yeah, I think that's going to start determining wins and losses.
Just on the fielding, after you have a scratchy performance, and we talked about this on Sunday, Hills, what happens in the intervening moment? So Australia don't play until Friday our time, so you've got a few days practice, as we say. The rum punch and the pina coladas might not get much of a workout, and it's more about knuckling down. How do you then dial it in at training with fielding and drills and things like that?
Do less.
Do less.
Do less, yeah. It's not something...
This is a fielding coach.
Yeah. Well, it is.
Go sit down, guys.
Yeah, they would have got all their volume. They've done all their volume. They've played IPL, and now, leading into this stage, it's about getting your intensity right at training. So you do a lot less, but the intensity's at game intensity. So they didn't misfield or drop those catches because they haven't done enough work. It was just that their concentration wasn't quite there. It's not a big concern. It wouldn't be something that the coach should get emotionally involved with. He'll touch on it and say, listen, that's not the standard that we set. We know how important fielding is. When we get now to practice, get what you need, but do it at a high intensity. It's not about doing naughty boy fielding, catching 1,000 catches. Okay. It's about making sure intensity's right.
Well, it's more getting used to the conditions as well. I think the more you travel around the West Indies, all the grounds are very different. The lights are a little bit different than what they would be here in Australia as well. They go in and out of the lights a bit more up into the night sky. So it'd just be more specific training, right? Yep. I'm going to be fielding on the boundary. Let's take some high balls and make sure that I know, my depth perception is right. So, yeah, it's not a huge concern. They'll fix it.
One of my favourites, a question without notice. I love doing this to you guys. Give us the fielder or the player that you played with over the journey who frothed the most over fielding, but just could not get enough of it. Loved doing it. Probably had to be told to do less. You got someone for us?
Oh, well, I think I played with a couple of generational fielders, like Mark Waugh, Ponting, Clark, Simons. But the one who just caught ball after ball was Mr. Cricket.
Huss?
Yeah. He just was workmanlike. He did everything he could. His technique work, he did intensity work, he did infield and outfield. And you go, Huss, you mightn't be on the boundary. He goes, I might be for 2 balls. But he do all these catches that he needed. So, and the best thing I like about those blokes is it was always competitive. And if Clark was hitting the stumps more than Simons and Ponting, it was game on. Egos got in the way, and it was great to watch when they were all on.
Were any games played in terms of, you owe me this if I beat you at this or anything like that?
It was highly, highly competitive.
Okay, fair enough. You're not going to add any more to it? Just leave it at that? Or
he was highly competitive.
Hills?
Well, I was just thinking, there's no real... I think some of the best fielders in the world are often the ones that have worked the hardest. So I'm thinking about the same thing. It's like the Rachel Haynes, the Elise Perrys, at the moment, the Phoebe Litchfields who've got more energy than everybody else, but absolutely love it. But they're the best fielders for that very reason, because they absolutely love it and they train the house down. So it's no real surprise that they correlate.
Yeah.
If with that fielding display of the Aussies, and it's not a concern at all, as a keeper, I would have been offended, because it's my role to make sure our intensity and our attitude's right. So when your fielding team aren't doing all the little things that you knew make you great, you used to get a phone call actually from your uncle saying, mate, these guys aren't fielding well. You say, well, what am I going to do? He said, well, that's your area. Yeah. You control the tempo of all that. You control the attitude. And it'll probably be a little chat from Matthew Wade saying, oi, boys, let's up it. It's time to start the semi-final stage.
Did you have to be careful with stump mic sometimes, in your opinion, of throws coming in from the boundary or players getting down to it?
No, I never blew up once.
No?
Never blew up once with a bad throw, because I knew the work that the guys have done off the field. If the guys that hadn't done the work, you become frustrated, because then your standard would drop. But that'd sort of be brought in anyway to say, oi, this is not the way we do things. So the guys that do all the work, I was never worried that you get now and then get a poor throw.
Yeah, but in that instance then, so if you know the energy's down and then on top of that they're throwing them down at your feet, surely you blew up once or twice.
No, because we're just making sure the ball was soft.
Right.
There's always a positive to a negative, isn't there? There you go.
Never blew up.
The Super 8s. Group 1, India, Australia, Afghanistan, Bangladesh. Group 2, USA, England, West Indies, South Africa. As you made the point before we just started recording about Group 1, there's one thing that the Australian batters won't need.
Is that the helmet?
Yes, exactly. A lot of spin they'll be about to face. Quick spin.
Yeah, well, but one thing about that is majority of our squad have been in the IPL. They've been playing in these conditions for the last 3 months. So it's not a great fear for the Australians. I tell you what it does do. It does bring teams like Afghanistan and Bangladesh into the competition, though. You get a normal, good surface with true bounce. I don't think you'd see maybe a couple of those teams in this semi-final stage. But way the surface is, Australia's got a tough draw. I still expect them to go top of their group, but it's a tough draw and it's going to be fire by spin.
Yeah, I mean, England lob in that group, despite the fact that they got trousered by us. But anyway, what can you do? As we said before, is what it is. Top 2 go through out of the Super 8s, those 2 groups. And now if India make it, they're locked in to play a semi-final in Guyana on Friday morning, Australian Eastern Time. That's next week. Australia, for the Super 8s, plays Bangladesh in Antigua on Friday, Afghanistan in St Vincent on Sunday, and India in St Lucia next Tuesday. It's a nice little tour, actually, when you think about it. Antigua, St Vincent, St Lucia. Great for a fan.
All in 6 days. Yeah.
Great for a fan. I mean,
They all turn too.
What's your
Big turning venues.
What's your favourite venue out of those?
St Lucia.
What's that?
It's got a nice little strip of outdoor bars.
Okay.
Yeah, St Lucia was good fun.
Okay.
Muhammad, Darren Sammy's from there.
Mm.
Yeah, I was going to say Muhammad
No.
Shami's not from there.
Could be.
Darren Sammy isn't there, and he's got the ground named after
Yeah, he
him
has.
as well. Out of your travels as well, have you been to all those places?
I haven't been to St Vincent, but I've heard that
Okay.
one's beautiful. But we spend a lot of time in Antigua, so no more way
Yeah.
around there.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Good place. Because as a fan, you look at it and go, I've got to go for a tour in the Windies. But I'm told that there's certain places that are a lot better than others.
Go to Barbados,
Yeah.
not Jamaica.
Yeah.
Okay.
And steer clear of Guyana. But you can include that or not.
Sam is considering it.
Yeah.
He's
St-
not had a good day, Sam.
No,
He's
got
had
a
his
bit to do.
hands over his eyes a number of times today.
St Vincent is where Bangladesh were bowled out for 106, and then in turn they bowled out Nepal, some people call it, for 86. Well, it is, it's Nepal, because they're Nepalese. So I was told, actually, that's what they would like to be called, Nepal,
Oh, okay.
instead of Nepal.
I'll stop laughing then.
Whatever the case, they've got to work on their running between the wickets. What happened against South Africa? What about that?
It's like kids cricket.
Well, it's like South Africa doing a South Africa against South Africa. It was incredible. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, a Nepalese batter got run out loafing in the final few strides to send it to a super over. It was an incredible finish to the game, and one that South Africa certainly got out of jail.
Maybe the tide's turning for them.
Yeah. Maybe it's a nice little.
25 years on this
Good
week
stuff.
from what happened in 1999, which we'll get to later in this. And if you
Mm.
haven't listened to the podcast, go back a few episodes, and now 3-part series with Shane Lee and Brendan Julian going through everything that happened in the 99 World Cup. And speaking of pressure at this stage of a tournament, what changes? How do you, is it something you handle, or is it something you actually look forward to being involved with?
Well, I think the Australian way is that we look forward to it and we kind of relish the opportunity. Pressure's a bit of a privilege in that regard, that you're in these situations. So it's a positive thing to be feeling. What concerns me is that that's 3 really slow, turny wickets, which isn't traditionally what we're best at. But I mean, I have been raving on about our adaptability and our versatility in our side, and we're going to have to be in 3 probably pretty different wickets, but slow and turny against subcontinental teams. It's going to be a real task.
On that, Hads, I think with the ball, okay, we've got the 3 great quicks, and we've got Adam Zampa, and we've got Glenn Maxwell, but I think Marcus Stoinis has a massive role to play in being that adaptable option to go, here, have it, bit of cross seam, bit of variation.
Well, I think Marcus Stoinis is our leading wicket taker at the moment. And what he's shown in this tournament, he has that adaptability. He's opened the bowl and he swung the ball up front. But he can also, you can bring your keeper up. You can set a spin-like field with third man and fine leg up and bowl his cutters. So he's going to be an important role. Maxi's a huge role too. He might be used at different stages in these matches in the power play. We know Adam Zampa, if we can get through that power play, Hills, as you said, with a couple of wickets and bring Zampa on, all of a sudden we can control those middle overs. But no matter what the surface is, I think Australia will go in with their 3 main fast bowlers. It'd have to be a really interesting surface to play Agar, because these 3 fast bowlers are very adaptable. We've seen Camo use his cutters in the middle against England and was outstanding. So I think we'll stick with 3 quicks.
Okay, Hads, here's the question where you get to dump on someone else. Which team is under the most pressure?
New Zealand. They're going to fly home without making through the next stage.
It's a long way back to New Zealand from the Caribbean as well. No? Of the 8 that are left.
I think, well, West Indies.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that.
They're obviously under enormous pressure in a home World Cup. India and Australia, they're under a bit of pressure as well because you got Afghanistan and Bangladesh, so you'd expect that they just go straight through. But in these conditions, Afghanistan and Bangladesh can beat anyone in their day. So I think India and Australia, but probably the big one is South Africa.
Yeah.
Can they get through to a final?
Did Kiso Rabada say anything to you over there about how South Africa just hasn't worked out for them at World Cups, or is it something you don't bring up, like not bringing up certain staying in your crease with Johnny Bairstow when you're at the IPL?
It's interesting because it's gone on for so long. So it's nothing to do with talent. You look at the talent in this South African squad, man for man, they're as good as anyone in these conditions. So it's got to be mental. It's got to be mental when you get to those big games. But you've got some fresh faces coming in that hopefully don't hold those scars of teams that have in the past. So, yeah, but I still think they're under the most pressure to go through.
Pressure gauge, who's peaking on it, in your opinion? India?
Yeah, India are under the most pressure out of the other 7 teams around them, 100%. I mean, you even look up, if India go through, they're locked in for this certain game, like, they're under the most pressure, 100%.
Is it fair to say we don't have a great guide on India, given that they played in the US on those decks? The New York one was just a weird one, didn't quite set. I was talking to someone about it, actually, that they said the soil, the rest of the ground started to reject the pitch. So, like the transplanted pitch, so they didn't get it in time enough. To your point, which is just amazing, because they knew they were going to hold it. Yep. Anyway, that's by the by. Like, we don't really know how they're going.
But also, they're now about to travel and go elsewhere multiple times. So they've played most of their games in New York, right? They haven't really
New
moved
York,
around.
They went to Florida and they got that game binned down there. So, yeah, they moved around a tiny bit, but no, like every second day.
So they're about to travel a little bit more, get some unfamiliar conditions more often. So we'll get a better gauge on how they're going, I think, in the Super 8s. But yeah, I firmly believe they're under the most pressure.
I just looking at now, having a look at the Super 8s and the venues, you'd imagine now this is where the West Indies turn it on. They want packed crowds, they want good surface, they want tight contests, not 110 plays 109. They want 175 plus, balls flying around everywhere. So you'd expect now with the Super 8 start, and conditions should improve, and I'd imagine now we'll see an increase in scoring rate and the batters start to play more of a role than they have through the early stages.
Righto, be definitive. Who goes through out of both groups? You can just guess.
Yeah, well, I think Australia, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go West Indies, South Africa.
Okay.
I'm going to go Australia and India.
Okay, so you're happy to be wrong after saying that Afghanistan's making the semis.
I've gone with you in that one.
Yeah.
Just trying to help you out, mate.
Yeah. I didn't think the draw would go this way.
Well, it has. Mate.
And I think England
and
South Africa go through.
I'm for some reason thinking that South Africa are going to knock off England, and I don't know how they're going to do it. They're going to have to pull something out, but I reckon that for some reason I feel like they're going to beat England.
So England, Windies.
I said
Australia,
Windies, South Africa.
Windies, South Africa.
Yep.
Glad I was listening. And England, South Africa.
Yep. India, Australia.
India, Australia.
Well, I can't say Afghanistan are going to go through now. I'm going to have to be wrong on one because otherwise I might have to leave Australia.
Right.
What happens?
Feeling okay?
What happens if it gets down to it and it's down to Australia or Afghanistan in that last game? Would you rather be patriotic or right?
Patriotic.
Oh, good boy. There you go.
Silly question.
You do like being right, though, don't you?
That's not what you said off mic.
That's not true. That's not true. I was right with New Zealand.
You were spot on. You said they were no good, and so it proved. Team of the tournament. So we're recording this one before New Zealand, Uganda, Afghanistan, West Indies. Those games early Tuesday morning. But give us your 11 plus a drinks carrier. Heels, you can go first.
Oh, am I going first?
1
All
to
right.
11. Go for it.
I've gone with Gurbaz and Head to Open, McMullen, Stoinis, Babar Azam. I've gone David Miller, Hardik Pandya, and then I've gone Rashid Khan, Adam Zampa, Anrik Nortje, and Faruqi. And I've got Mitch Stark at 12th because he did pretty well running the drink the other day.
Well, I definitely haven't got Stark. He's 12th.
There goes your chances of getting something nice through duty free.
Well, at
when
least
he gets
he's in
back.
there.
Yeah, well, true.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd be pumped about mixing Gatorade
Thought he
instead of bowling 4.
He looked like he did it really well.
Well, great minds think alike. I've got 8 of your team in. It was a hard team to pick, actually, because the tournament hasn't even started. So it's hard to...
Arguably.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got Aaron Jones.
Yep.
From the US. He's had a couple of good knocks. Got a 60 against us.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Pant in.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love his story, where he's come from. He's batting at 3, something different. I've got Bumrah in. No one's been able to hit him. I've got Faruqi. You've got that. Stoinis. My point of difference
12th.
is Mitch Marsh, 12th.
Yeah, he's your 12th man in every team that he doesn't make.
Well, when I played and when I coached,
Yeah.
he was the best fun.
Yeah.
So your 12th man, I don't want someone there doing laps before play and after play, getting high catches. I want someone to organise the winning party, and Mitch Marsh will do that.
You say Mitch Stark can't do that?
He'll be playing.
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's not in your team.
Yeah. No, I've got Mitch Marsh.
Got yourself into a little bother there, didn't you?
You know, it's team of the tournament so far, not best blokes 11. We did that. We did that on an episode a while ago.
I love his story.
Yeah. Great story.
No, he's
but-
playing well.
Unreal.
Yeah, he's playing well.
He's batting at 3. He's changed his role. I'll put him at 6 here.
Mate, it's not. We're not putting together an episode of Australian Story here. It's like the best cricketers so far in the.
Well, he's in the top 11 cricketers so far.
Okay. I believe you. Before it gets out of hand here, we'll just take a little spell back in a sec. Welcome back to Willow Talk. Play it or leave it. New seg alert. Producer Sam's come up with this one.
I feel like I've heard it
Genius that he
before.
is. I don't know where. Maybe. It's where I'm going to bowl Hads and Heels a statement, and they either decide to agree with it and play it. So yes, affirmative, play it, agree with it, or disagree and leave it alone. Let it hit the keeper's gloves and stay in your crease before the ball moves on. So the more you agree with it, the bigger the shot you play at it as well. So if you can give varying degrees of, I'll just nudge this away for a single, I mildly agree with it, or I'll try and hit it into the next hemisphere, I strongly agree with it. Got it?
I know where all these are going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight to cow corner.
Okay, play it or leave it, agree or not. The media was right to make headlines from Josh Hazlewood's comments about eliminating England.
Charged down the wicket, gave myself room to the first ball of the game with an outswinger like Damien Fleming and swung as hard as I can over point. I love what the media did with that. I love what Josh Hazlewood did. He got the exact reaction he wanted.
So he's played it. Fair enough.
I was literally just thinking, I've swung so hard at it, it's gone over third man. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're going to, at the end of the day, if you're a player, if you're going to say it, you know it's going to be a headline. So Josh knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
The low-scoring pitches have been good for this tournament.
No, defence.
No?
I like the close
Did
games.
you play at it or just let it
I've just
go?
let dead bat at it. I went to go for one,
Yeah.
so I'm sort of sitting on the fence, but I said
So that
stay
for
back.
you is a leave?
Yep.
Okay, dead batting one is leaving.
I'm not
Righto.
leaving a ball.
Right.
Kids do not leave a ball. That's not the way the game's going.
Okay.
It's good that some
But the whole,
games have been
the
close.
whole game is called play it or leave it. Could
Bad
you
luck.
not let us know this? Always
I'm not leaving it.
Okay.
I'm going to play it.
It's
I
play
might
it-
play and
it's
miss.
Play it or block
Play
it.
it or block it. That's
Oh,
the
is
new
that what
name.
we're doing now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point behind it is when you have a huge event like this, you don't want pitches to be spoken about.
120 v 120.
Yeah. And I think that's what's happened in the US. We've spoke too much about the surface and not about the cricket.
Yeah. Well, I agree. So does that mean that I've also blocked it? Or have I
Yeah.
left it?
Left
Don't leave it.
Just, yeah.
Do not leave
I've probably tried to hit a cover drive and missed it.
it.
Okay.
Mm.
So you kind of agree with it, but you didn't get bat on ball.
Yeah, I missed it. So,
So
I
you
technically
left
left
it.
it. Yep.
That's as good a leave
Yeah.
as you'll
That's
get.
Listen to
the
these
only
two.
time that we will ever leave the ball
Listen
is
to
when
these
we've
two
played miss.
who, like, if they shouldered arms, it's like they lose their license to play cricket for 12 months.
Actually, I feel like I've seen you shoulder arms and get bowled. Or was it LB? That's why he doesn't leave it anymore.
I can tell you, I remember facing Natini in a one-day series in South Africa. And, you know, he went wide on the crease. So I used to get across in the line and play it. And he nicked me off a couple of times. And Tim Nielsen goes to me, "Why don't you just leave it?" I said, "Mate, it's going to hit the stumps." And he kept showing me on the footage. It was a metre outside off stump. It was just his angle. And I said, "Well, you know what? Next game, I'm not getting caught in slip."
Mhm.
He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm getting caught at deep third man or deep backward square. I'm going to try to pull everything. Should never leave it."
Okay. I want to see this vision, though, of him shouldering
I've seen it. I
his
swear
castle
I've seen
knocked
it.
over.
Yeah.
Namibia.
This is not the you're not trying to bring this Dale Steyn defensive shot up.
No.
again.
You just brought it up.
We'll find it.
Namibia batter Nicholas Davin became the first batter to be dismissed, retired out in T20 World Cup history during a group stage match against England. He was 18 off 16, chasing a lot of runs, so he just said, "No, stuff this. I'm going too slow. Get me back to the pavilion and get someone quicker in."
Yep.
And David Visa came in and started smacking it around.
I've taken multiple steps down the wicket and hit it straight back over the sight screen. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's one of the most unused rule in T20 cricket at the moment, and is going to be more and more utilised as we move forward.
You reckon?
I reckon it's awesome.
I've check drove it straight at the sight screen.
Yep.
Loved it.
And I want to change my 12th man. Because that man is a team man.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He's only thinking about his team. Who was it? David Weiser came in, got 27 off 12 balls. So his mindset was all about what he could do with the team. So I put him along Mitch Marsh. He can organise the party after the final.
Play it or leave it. Bulk washouts in Florida due to rain and bad drainage. All grounds should have covers that cover the entire field, like in India and Sri Lanka.
I'm stepping away before they're bowled. I didn't like that the rain influenced so much of the result.
But should the organisers have covers?
100%.
So you're playing it?
Yeah, well, this is our marquee event. So, yeah, I don't like that they weren't prepared for something like this.
I've forgotten how we're playing the game, but I don't like that because
You don't like the idea of having covers?
In
covering
T20
the-
cricket, it takes them too long to get them off, and you lose valuable time because you don't have a lot of time. But I mean, if you're putting cricket in Florida, you've got to have better drainage. I would have thought it rains a lot there
Yep.
Yeah.
for
So
half the year.
get ahead of the game instead. But you're leaving you are blocking.
I think I've forward defensed.
Again. Gautam Gambhir is set to be India's next head coach. The India head coaching gig is the best in the world.
No, it's not.
He's left one.
It's not.
That's
the
a
best
wide
in the
down
world.
leg side. I've left it.
Yeah, I couldn't reach it. I played at it. I couldn't reach it. It was a wide.
Why?
It's the
What's
most
the
high
best?
pressure.
Is it the best paid?
Oh, surely. Did you see the latest agreement?
No.
Oof. The players have played very, very well.
Oh, the BCCI. Do they have a players' union over there?
No,
No,
not
it's
allowed.
just we're telling you what you're being paid, but
Yeah.
they've been looked after.
So I'd imagine the head coach would also be on
Yeah.
coin.
But he deserves it. It's
Yeah.
a high pressure job. The one thing over there, the head coach on social media in all the papers, that they cop it as much as anyone in the world.
Yeah, you're deleting Twitter if you get that job.
Oh,
Interesting dynamic at the moment in that team. I'm happy to knock one into the covers for one and say not a bad appointment in that I think maybe he might calm a bit of what's been going on down.
Yep.
But then at the same time, I would like to leave alone the head coaching gig is the best in the world because that would suck.
What is the best one in the world?
the Aussies.
Australia.
There you go. I walked into that one, didn't I?
Well,
New Zealand, I reckon. New Zealand.
The interesting thing about Gambhir and one of the highest profile Indian players is Kohli, and they had a pretty public falling out a few IPLs back.
Yes. Didn't they have a stink on the field?
Yeah,
They
really
had
good
a
game.
little cuddle in this IPL, though,
Yeah,
didn't they?
but they had a cuddle right at the start of the tournament.
Uh,
So I wonder if this was going on behind the scenes. Do we need a public a show of affection that we're all good because Gambhir's name's going to be there for the coaching job? Because you wouldn't want getting named and not have sorted that stuff out with Kohli.
The 1999 World Cup semi-final between South Africa and Australia is the best men's one-day international of all time.
oh.
The tied semi. 2-13 played 2-13. Play it?
Yeah,
I'll
I've
leave
skipped down the wicket, chipped it over
Yeah.
mid-wicket, one bounce for. I thought that was a cracking game. Not just because where Australia came from. That they're obviously gone in the tournament.
Mhm.
The King, Shane Warne, had stepped up. Herschel Gibbs had dropped the World Cup. And also Klusner, the way he played, the power he had in that World Cup. He hit every ball in the middle until a one
It
mistake.
was like he was in a time machine from now.
Yeah.
The way
Yeah.
he was playing.
It was so. And they made one mistake. Mind you, Mark Wall missed the backhand run out. That's the one thing that did surprise me. Junior normally he would have hit it,
Wasn't
but
practicing those ones.
it was. I think I've hit it for 6.
I'm going to nick it and fall short of the slip so I'm not out and say I was 9 at the time, so I can't really recall the whole game.
Yeah.
And I would like to give credit to that game in the last ODI World Cup where Maxi made a bazillion and got us over the line. I think that was one of the best games I've ever witnessed.
Okay.
Well, the Afghan go.
Yeah,
So-
Afghanistan, the one where they bowled to a guy who couldn't move his legs
Who
at
was-
hip height the whole time.
He was basically sitting on a chair while he was batting.
yeah,
Yep.
and they
And
bowled
didn't
in the
play
slot
catch.
the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah. It was great bowling.
That's still one of my most memorable games. And I can't really remember that one. I was a bit young, sorry.
I mean, for me, the final that we've just witnessed was pretty crash hot.
Well, that's what
the
I mean.
final in 2015 was pretty crash hot. Your
was over in
final at the
3
MCG,
balls.
but
Final in
Yeah.
2015 was
Yeah, it
over in
was.
3
still
balls.
fun to watch because it was a slow.
It
It was
was
a
good.
slow demise, even though you knew what was going to happen.
His
the whole
face
time.
for 3 balls was still, I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Oh, he does stumps. Mate,
Brilliant.
you have to give credit there to the fast bowlers. They planned that.
Back to 99. Where were you in life watching that? Do you remember it clearly? I remember it clearly.
Yeah, I
He
was
was 29.
Yeah. I was just about to
22.
start.
What's it to? That was 21, actually.
Just about to start my New South Wales career.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
As an aggressive little Queen Bee-Erin, or whatever you are, coming up to the big smoke, making a name for yourself. And it wasn't that long until you were wearing those colours. Beautiful story.
What'd
And
you
you
get?
can relive it all on Willow Talk. Once again, as I mentioned before, Brendan Julian, who I asked, when he's sitting in that chair, Hads, I said, did he really say that? And he goes, nah, didn't say it. Steve Waugh dropped the World Cup. Herschel Gibbs, he said along the lines of costly, but didn't say drop the World Cup. But we'll run with it still because it's such a great line. And Shane Lee as well, they came up with some ripping stories in that 3-part series that we ran out. And last one, play it or leave it, wearing singlets in the
Oh,
sheds
no.
on game day is fine.
Well, I'm having my first leave of the day.
Didn't see that one.
I did just see it before, and I was like, oh no, it's not fun.
Not fine. Hads, you ever get the gun show out? Or the water pistols?
Can we have a time to answer this? Because if I say no,
You have to leave
Sam
it.
will
That's what I'm
find
saying. Oh,
something.
it could be someone's bowled an innie down leg, and you haven't played a shot.
Okay, we're going to call it play or to block it next one for you
All right.
guys because it's confusing you.
Block.
I know it's
No,
against
it's not
everything
true.
you stand for.
Well, what's confusing is I don't really understand what leaving it means.
So we'll change it to play it or block it.
Yeah.
Are you blocking this one or playing it?
I don't mind singlets in the change room when they're watching.
Yes.
I don't like singlets when you have your net sessions.
Okay.
So short answer, he's blocked it.
It's an aggressive block.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a hard block straight to mid-off. Sundries. Shout out to Joe Burns. Good on Joe, who's representing Italy
Yep.
for family, basically.
Hmm.
And he scored 108 not out from 55 to help Italy beat the might of Romania in Rome and progress to the next stage of qualifying for the 2026 T20 World Cup. So centuries for 2 countries in international cricket for Joseph. Well done.
I love it, actually.
Good
We're
story.
done with
Yeah,
play
Good
or
great
block
story.
it, by
Put
the
him
way.
in your
This is-
team.
Yeah.
Mate, he could be in the team. I don't know if he parties as well as Mitch,
Yep.
but mate, great story. He's gone back to play for family reasons, which have been well documented. To get 100, help him qualify, which is great. We need more of this around the world. So he's lost his contract, Joe. Still playing good cricket. Well done.
Trent Bolt says this will be his last T20 World Cup. What was he like to face?
Skillful.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was very skillful with the new ball. I think I faced him in David Warner's first test, actually, at Bell Reeve, where he got 100. Might have nicked me off.
Yep.
But he was quite nippy when he started. He had a beautiful wrist, swung the ball. And he's been a world-class bowler for, good part of 10 years. He's changed too. He was always good up front, wasn't so good at the back end of the game, but he's developed over time and he'll be sorely missed. Sorry that they had to leave early, but he'll be sorely missed.
Couldn't help it, could he?
No.
Could
One
not.
final little dagger.
Could not help it. It won't be the final one, let me tell you on Willow Talk.
Still a lot of
it's
cricket left.
Another one.
Yeah.
He's like a steak knife shot, this bloke, in terms of daggers to New Zealand cricket. Okay, last one, guys, for sundries, and last one for the pod. We've had more vision sent through by Monic on Instagram. It's Club Cricket Moment of Madness, and it looks like a lovely ground in the English countryside, I think. Anyway, bowler comes in, bowls a bit of a pie, whacked pretty much over his head, bit on the offside, and it's somehow kept in. Batters have convened mid-pitch thinking it's gone for 6. It hasn't. Throw comes in, run out. Thoughts?
Yeah, admittedly I watched the video and I had no idea what was going on. Are we blaming the fielder, saying that he's thought maybe it hasn't gone all the way to the rope? Is there no rope? I mean, what's going on? I feel like I need an explanation.
It looks like there's just the old school, Saturday morning cones out. And you have to draw the imaginary line there.
I'm going to go with the fielder's dodgy, and I don't love it, but I think it's quite funny.
I've sort of done that.
Here we go.
And it was in league cricket in England.
Yeah.
It played one of those big same sort of area and was just admiring my shot. He's caught it, thrown it back, and I thought this is going for 6. And I was just wandering out of my crease, and the non-striker ran through, and I was lucky enough not to get run out, but I was admiring my stroke.
But you didn't actually convene mid-pitch and start talking about how good you were.
No, I was admiring it myself. I didn't
Okay.
need anyone else.
But this one was like, oh, yeah, great shot, mate. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah, Charles. Yeah. No, it was obvious that they thought it went for 6. It's along the lines of, I thought the ball was dead, so I can do what I want.
Play the whistle. Play the
Yeah,
umpire's call.
admittedly,
Yeah.
like the guys worked really hard to throw that back in. So, attaboy, run him out.
Yep.
Got to keep your eye on the ball.
Even though you thought it was 6.
Might have plugged. We don't know.
Isn't that the first thing you tell your kids?
Yes.
Play the whistle,
Yeah.
listen to the umpire.
Yeah.
Yes. Wait until the ball's dead.
Yep.
Johnny.
Except in the Ashes.
We're never getting him on the show, are we?
Never.
Ever.
No.
Ever. Thank you,
Thank you.
Hads, Heels.
Thank you.
Catch you next time, and we'll be here for the Super 8s each time. So as soon as the game ends, we'll record an episode, and we'll be live straight away pretty much for the game against Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and India, and it all starts this Friday morning for the game. Australia playing Bangladesh in Antigua, Australian time on Friday morning. That was Willow Talk. Have a good one, everyone. Yeah, thanks for watching the Willow Talk podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't have to miss an episode wherever you are. And while you're at it, check out these videos up here. They're mostly good.